Welcome. Today I'm not just OCTV reporter, I'm also Pauline Bennett, clerk of Addison Township, and I am with Curtis Wright, clerk of Oxford Township. How are you today, Curtis?
Good, I'm very good. Thank you for inviting me here.
Well, thank you for participating. I think this is going to be really important. Our goal today is to demonstrate the new voting equipment so that when you arrive at the polls, you'll know what to expect. Behind the scenes, there's been a lot of extra training and extra work going on, but I just want to assure everyone, and I'm sure Curtis does too, that when you arrive at the polls, it will be very easy. The new equipment just prompts you along the way. The new equipment was approved by each county throughout the state of Michigan and was purchased with the Help America Vote Act funding. Curtis, what do you think of the new equipment?
Oh, I think the equipment is so much improved and it'll be so much user-friendly for the voters that come out and for the poll workers.
I think so too.
There's been so much improvements that have been done that hopefully our voting process will be a lot easier than what voters may have experienced in the past.
I think they're a little faster as well.
Yeah, they're a little bit faster. They're more user-friendly. You know, it'll help the poll workers to open and close the polls. It'll help the voters to potentially move through the lines quicker.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think the county and the state of Michigan purchased the new equipment for us?
Well, in my opinion, that the equipment that we had was approximately 12 years old and it was antiquated. It wasn't basically keeping up with the standards of election laws and the election process. So based upon the grants that were available, the state of Michigan and the counties selected the voting machines that they decided would be best for their counties, and Oakland County chose the Hart InterCivic voting machines for us, and it looks like we're going to be very pleased with them for years to come.
I think so too, and it's kind of nice that they decided to go now before we had issues with the old machines. It's like knowing when to sell your car before you have too many problems with it. You know?
Exactly.
So let's address what's different before we start operating the machines. So in here I do have a ballot. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but instead of ovals we have squares now. So you'll have to fill in the squares. Also, we used to have the ovals on this side. Notice that they are on the left-hand side of the ballot. And as you can see, Curtis can just go ahead and pipe in.
Yeah, you can see here that the ballot here is only an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, which normally they're 8.5 by 14 or 8.5 by 17 or even larger, depending on what the ballot is or what items are on the ballot. In this case here, for the ballot or the election in Oxford and Addison Township, there's 2 ballot proposals for Oxford schools. So those are a couple of the new features that are going to be rolled out here in November at the election.
So this ballot is a ballot that they call a draft ballot, you could say. So there's different things on there. It's not for the specified election. But when you get this in the mail for an absent voter ballot, or if you come to the polls, don't be alarmed, because this is going to be the size of your ballot. And when you feel it, the other ballots I think were a bit thicker. This is almost regular paperweight, so don't be alarmed. So let's start and demonstrate the accessible voting.
All right. This here is the touch writer, which was in previous elections called the AutoMark. And what this does now is make it so it's more user-friendly for the voter itself. You can see the tables a little bit lower. If somebody's handicapped or needing assistance, they can wheel their wheelchair up here and actually vote their ballot a lot easier than the other AutoMark that we had. Now, the first way that you can do this is just a touch screen process you can go through. So in this example, it's asking you to vote for the President of the United States, so you can pick whichever one you want. Make your selection, and then you just go down to the lower right-hand corner and press next. I'll ask you in this case, what's your favorite color? Make your selection. Go next. Favorite season. And finally, your favorite car model and maker. Okay, you've done all the selections that you want. You can print your ballot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back now and I'm going to use a tactile device to give you an idea how that actually works itself. So I'm going to return to my ballot here. I'm going to uncheck what I've done. Go back, uncheck all my selections. Like that.
And there are headphones with that too.
There are headphones too. They would be in here. They come out, and if you need assistance with hearing impairment, that's what the headphones would be for. But with your tactile device here, there's three items here. This is the button that you can select your choice. This is a help button if you need help with your ballot. And then this is the wheel that moves the choices on the screen back and forth. So if I move this here, you can see, maybe you can see this if you can zoom in. As I move it, you can move this down to each selection till you make a choice, and then once you decide what you want, you hit the select button and it checks the ballot the same way as if you were doing the touch screen. And then when you're done with that selection, to get to the next screen, just keep scrolling down, and the blue highlight will be highlighted around the box, and you can see it kind of highlighted here for next. You just hit select, and you go down through and make your next choice. And the box, as far as I know, is always on the top to start, so you just move your selector down and make the choice, and just move down accordingly. And probably the more you get down the ballot and get familiar with this, if you use this, you'll be more comfortable with it. And choose that, and then go to next. Go there, we go next again, select it, and now we have everything selected that we want to vote on. Then we'll go down to the bottom here, we'll go to next, we'll hit the print button, and it asks you if you don't want to make any more changes and want to print your ballot, you'll go down to yes, and we'll do that for demonstration purposes. And the ballot will then print out to the printer.
And this is something new different from the older equipment.
Yes, it is.
This will actually print the ballot you just voted.
Yes, it will. So it takes a moment to print the ballot for the system to reach into the printer. And then once that ballot prints out, then you'll be able to put it in your secrecy sleeve. And here it comes now.
And it prints both sides. I remember at training I tried to grab it the first time out, and I'm like, wait a minute.
You see how, I don't know if you could zoom that in or not, but you could see where it pulled the
Yes.
ballot back so it would print on both sides. Then you'll have your ballot here, and you'll put that in the secrecy sleeve, and you'll carry that over to the tabulator.
And this hasn't changed. The first piece of equipment is the accessible, and it does not count your ballots. This is the scanner, and it's going to count the ballot now.
Yes, it will count the ballot. So the recommended way of doing this in the secrecy sleeve is there's a slot in here for you to just put your ballot in, so it remains secret, and you just push it up to the tabulator. There it goes. Okay. All right, so there's the process of voting on the touch writer. And the touch writer is for anybody that would like to use it. There's no restriction on whether you want to vote the regular Verity scan or
Correct.
on the touch writer.
It might take a little bit longer because only the one race that you're voting on is going to show on the screen, and then as Curtis showed us, you have to keep hitting next until the end of the ballot. So now I'm going to go ahead and vote the demo ballot and process it through the machine. So I voted the entire ballot, and we're going to see. This is something new. I purposely overvoted. It actually is now showing on the screen what race I overvoted, and now it's asking me, do I want to make changes? And if I do, I would just pull this out and then go see the precinct chair. Or let's say if I decided, you know, it's okay, I don't really want that race to count, and it would just be that race. So I'm going to put this in there again. If I decide that I'm okay with how I voted, I would just go ahead and press that button. And then of course we encourage all voters to stand here until it reads, your vote has been recorded, thank you for voting. And then the American flag pops up too. So stand there after you do vote to make sure your vote counted, and in this case I overvoted, so it showed up. Curtis, you got anything else to add?
Well, that was a new feature that was brought out, the American
Yes.
flag, and a lot of the voters that voted in the Pontiac election, which was the only one held in August in Oakland County, they were really thrilled that they actually felt their ballot actually counted on that.
I think that's a nice feature, that it actually
It is.
shows your vote counted.
It
So
is.
yeah, stay for
It
that
is.
part.
It is. A couple other things on our end. We will be open on Saturday,
Saturday before the election.
the 4th.
So is it the 4th?
November 4th will be open for absentee ballots if anybody would like to vote an absentee ballot. They'd have to be returned on election night for that.
By election night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ballots, there's only two questions on the ballot. They're both school related. And if there's any questions you have about the ballot language or anything, I'd suggest you contact Oxford Schools for further clarification. But other than that, Pauline, thank you for inviting me here, and
I'm glad you're
hopefully
here.
this will help the voters out that view the video, and happy voting.
Yes. Thank you, Curtis, for coming. And if anyone has any questions, Curtis or I are just a phone call away, so just give us a call about absent voters or the Saturday voting. Just call us up. We'll be happy to answer. Thank you again, and thanks for watching.